All right, guys. Somebody had asked me if the upgrade with for the trigger was worth the money and installing it yourself. And as a Glock guy, I can tell you definitely. I mean, what is one of the major downfalls of Glock? There's three of them. One of them would be that the trigger's not the best. I wouldn't say sucks, but not the best. The grip angle, and then plastic sights. So you can keep going on that list. I mean, the MOS plate system. I mean, they were early, if not the first company that made like the system. But anyways, yeah. Uh, so the trigger on the G40 was nothing to write home about. I had it in there for about 3 years, and yeah, it's cool. But this being probably my favorite gun, I put a little money into it, because if you like things, might as well make them, yours and cooler. So I was one of the first 5 people in the world that got the Glock large frame trigger. And I know that because I have this thing of messaging companies when I'm curious about things. And you should do it too. Usually the customer service guy, he's just some dude chilling at work and, they just want to talk and be like, yeah, man, just picture you if you ran one of these companies, like, or you worked for one of these companies, like a regular Joe. You'd want to, be cool gun bros. That's the whole reason why you started working there. But, I asked them when they were going to make a large frame trigger because the hunting community with the 10 millimeter is pretty big. And he said, you know what? Or she said, you know what? We've actually been working on that and it's going to be coming out soon. And I said, will you let me know when it comes out? And she said, I definitely will. And guess what happened when it was available? She let me know like the same day. So I got my order in right away. She told me, congratulations, you're one of the first people to get one. So it's really cool. So olive green is my favorite color. So I got the closest thing to that, which is their Timney's green. I can tell you one thing right away if we're going to talk about negatives. The big elephant in the room is the safety tab. Uh, Johnny Glock has he's got a bunch of videos about this, about the safety tab not having enough engagement on the frame. And I had this issue when I first got this trigger that the spring pressure was not resetting the trigger by putting it forward all the way. So it would come back like right here and that would be it. You'd have to manually push it forward in order to get that safety tab engaged. And it does not engage that much. Like there is not a lot of meat grabbing the frame there. So I always thought it'd be great to try to put an alpha or a apex trigger on there, but you have to do a lot of machining to get it to work with the way Timney does the reset, because the reset on the Glock, there's a spring back here in the cruciform that pulls the whole trigger bar forward, right? So it's a lot different. But, I mean, even this being an aftermarket trigger, this is 2-stage, but that first stage is slimy, man. And this is all polished internals. I mean, it's rough. Works great. This is my carry gun, but I think a part of the reason for that is instead of actuating the reset spring here, it's way back here. You have a lot of mass to push forward. But on the Timney, it's right here on the this pin, the trigger pin. So there's a little collar in there, and your pin torsion spring, sits around that part of the trigger, which is it's grooved out to fit the torsion spring. So the spring is right here that torsions or resets your trigger. So all that spring tension you feel is right there. Not much mass that it has to reset. And so I might as well show you the trigger. So it is 2-stage as well, which is great. I think all triggers for handguns should be 2-stage. But you get that first stage. It's very just smooth and easy to find. I have a bunch of different enhancements to the trigger striker system, and I'll show you that in a second. But so first stage, boom. Just try not to break it. Resets about 7 millimeters, 6 millimeters. So yeah, the first stage is great. You find your wall right away. So if you were hunting a deer, oh sorry, I'm on camera, right? You would feel that. It kind of makes a pop sound too. Right there. So almost 3-stage then, because the first stage, there's a little sound right there. It's cool because that lets you know you're right on the wall. So if you were on a deer, not so audible sometimes, but you can feel it. So it kind of jumps right there. And then we'll go through it. This is pulling right about 3 1/4 pounds. Watch it again. This is if you were right on the wall. This is if you were, oh, I see a deer. See right there, you got like 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters where it pops and you can feel the wall. It's hard to show, but you can feel it through the trigger. Alright, so there's a deer. See what I was doing there? You can hold that wall really well and you know exactly when it's going to break. So you get that little 2 millimeter pop. Oh, there's a deer. I mean, you can tell exactly when it's going to break when you stage it like that. I'm not sure how that would work with all your adrenaline dumping, but you can see it again. Oh, there's a deer right there. That's a headshot. Should I take that shot? It's a risky shot. Okay, ready? There's no movement on that last little stage, and I may be cheating here because, one sec, let me take her down. One of the weird things with the Timney, because the spring to reset is on your trigger pin here, instead of pulling the trigger and then the slide comes off, you actually have to hold the trigger back because the sear will come right back up, so it'll block itself again. So hopefully that made sense. I have a list of the build. It's a lot, but it's tasteful, at least. Things that are very high quality, no cheap stuff here. So obviously Timney Alpha competition large frame. It's all NP3 coated. I wish they would have done a better polishing job, especially on the safety tab right here, because it's actually really sharp. And I have tried to polish this. I'm going to do a better job eventually. But so yeah, Timney. This is their trigger bar. It's NP3 coated. It's made out of really good steel. When you get back here, here's what they did with their crucifix or whatever they call it. The sear is spring-loaded, and this is a safety potential problem. And Johnny Glocks has addressed this, and his Vex trigger shoe is the ultimate upgrade for the Timney. Look into it. He put the safety tab engagement as its main priority, and I drool over it all the time, but it's hard to throw $100 at the wall sometimes. So you squeeze the trigger, travels with the disconnect geometry, pushes down the sear. The sear is also NP3 coated. It's very nice. And a lot of people will point this out on the internet that it's just spring loaded. So it negates a lot of the good safeties that Glock uses. So you're really relying on your trigger block and your trigger safety working. So, you barely have a millimeter of engagement on your safety. It's not very great. Maybe that's why this is just a competition trigger. But Timney Alpha Competition large frame. And then I have a Glock Store Black Yikes disconnector, 3-pound. And the whole reason I have this is I'm obsessed with DLC, diamond like carbon. And man, it's so smooth. That combination of NP3 on DLC, that might be the best, man. Having one component DLC and the other component NP3 coated, that might be the way to do things. And then another friction point would be the safety plunger. This is a Rook Tactical Smooth Operator, and this is DLC coated as well, milled stainless steel, and it's very smooth. A lot of that is not DLC peeling, that's DLC thinning, because DLC is such a thin material to begin with that it does thin. And I might get this re-DLC'd or just get a new one eventually, because like I said, the trigger bar is pretty sharp on the Timney from the factory. It needs to be polished. So, yep. And then the last friction point. This is a stock striker, but I have polished the ever-living crap out of this. You can see there's a groove starting to wear in there. Yeah, at one point I had more 10 mil than any other ammo, so I love this gun. When Hickok 45 and Military Arms Channel teased this gun in 2015, I was in love with it pretty much right away. 10 millimeter was kind of those cult classic kind of guns that, you didn't really see a lot of, but you wish were more popular. Well, look now. 10 mil is more popular than it's ever been, and it's so available now. So anyways, yep, simple polishing job. I used a jewelry cleaning or polishing cloth. You can get them at Walmart or Fred Meyer. I recommend Walmart. But it is abrasive on one side and polishing on the other side. You can see, look at the light shining on the front or on the slide there. It's mirror polish besides the groove that it's worn in. Stock striker. Yeah, if you would like to see the build list on this, I have a list on this group. And if you need to improve your trigger or you want to, I highly recommend that you use my build list, because it's sitting right at 3¼ pounds and it's amazing. Have a good one, guys.